From timing to Anglo American, which was founded in 1917 by Sir Ernest Oppenheimer and focuses on platinum, diamonds, copper, iron ore and coal. Mark Cutifani has recently assumed the CEO position. The company has a market cap of 272 billion rand, forward price to earnings ratio of around 15 and a dividend yield of 3%. Do you think Cutifani is sleeping yet at night, Paul?
I like Mike Cutifani. His daughters are at Rodine Girls' School like mine, so that's a massive tick. It's an interesting job he has because they are under pressure in lots of different ways. Most significantly, that big iron ore project, which is over budget, over time, over everything in Brazil. Do they kind of stick to their knitting? Can they do something with Anglo American Platinum, which remains, in a tricky spot? All of these things, I think he must not be sleeping particularly well. He has started to address the project pipeline. He spoke in his results presentation about how the project pipeline needed to be given an enema, and he's certainly moving swiftly in that space, cancelling a couple of things that they have out there.
Lavan, Anglo American, do you give it the thumbs up at this point?
We've seen the sum of the parts of Anglo PLC going through some strain. Of course, the gold sector shows a place of slow production, and so Anglo Gold's been stumbling along. Anglo Plat's having its share of problems as platinum production also on the slow. Bear in mind that you have seen a slightly better commodity price, and so that's helped them tweak their earnings. De Beers having spent a lot in terms of production, but having to stockpile diamonds until the price is right. So when you look at those three big components, it's been a drag on earnings. Some of their base metals have helped prop the business up. Yes, it's become more of a diversified miner, but it has a strong geographical link to South Africa. I think that it's London and other international investors have stood by it, so you're likely to see a number of players happy to buy Anglo PLC at this level,
Paul,
but it's a long-term play.
There was certainly a time where every single retail investor on the JSE had a stake in Anglo American. It was the blue chip.
Well, and it was the preeminent South African industrial company too, because it used the surplus from its gold and platinum mines to enter industrial assets and took control of banking and financial and manufacturing businesses. That all went away obviously after democracy in South Africa, and they went global with the mining vision, and that looked pretty good. They were criticized for being a bit slow. They spun off Mondi. I don't know, it's been a very patchy run. We've talked about what we don't like in the business, which is Brazil and so on, and Anglo Platinum. But what about bits that we do like? Yes, we like Kumba Iron Ore, fantastic success story. We like the copper businesses, which are the South American ones. That's done very well. And frankly, I like De Beers. I think, luxury goods, jewelry, diamonds, all that stuff's got a bright future. And I think it's great that they've doubled down with the Botswana assets, with Venetia and so on. So I think there's a lot there. I just think that net, this is not a very loving investor community with regard to the mining businesses per se. So the sentiment is what worries me.
Is it all down to the leadership and the leadership getting it right? And again, it falls straight into Mark Cutifani's lap.
If I can pick up the previous head of Anglo PLC had done a commendable job. Unfortunately, the world was
You're talking Cynthia Carroll.
I'm talking Cynthia Carroll. Unfortunately, the world was going through a serious downturn, and so that 2008 financial crisis hurt them. The growth projections and the commodity prices had changed. So let's say that all the blame is not hers. A lot of it has to do with the circumstances. I think the new leadership, Mark Cutifani, coming from Anglo Gold, has got a very good track record. He started to clean up. He's already consolidated the heads of at least what were 10 different divisions.
But Paul, you say not a loving investor environment. He's going to have to do a lot of legwork.
Yeah, look, since the crash of 08-09, basically none of the resources companies we're talking about here trade on anything more than about a 10 price to earnings ratio. You mentioned there Anglo, we're talking forward because in their prior results they took a whole lot of write-downs. So it's a very mixed and murky picture currently. I think they still have a lot to prove. I think the people who've been buying them have been bottom pickers of the view that you can't take their assets away from them. I think that's right. But I worry that they're so far along in the Brazilian project that there's nothing that they can do but finish it. I think Anglo Plat is going to take a lot more time to turn around than people think. So I don't know. I just think all taken together, it's not a particularly attractive mix. And I don't think global investors like the significant South African footprint right now.
But 10-year view, cyclical play on commodities, surely you can't go wrong with Anglo American, Lavan.
I am very bullish on Anglo PLC for a 10-year view, but I'm also a buyer of Anglo PLC if you've got a 2 or 3 year view. I think that the commodity prices have hurt the stock considerably. It is significantly diverse in a number of geographical regions as well as commodities, and so for me that's a very big plus. Yes, it's got a very big footprint in base metals, and as Paul mentioned, that's been helping it along. It has a war chest of assets that are likely to show very good earnings as commodity prices improve.
Paul, hot or not on Anglo American?
I expect commodity markets to remain pretty much this way that they are now. I think demand is going to be fine, so it becomes an earnings and margin story. And I'm afraid there are too many parts of Anglo's businesses that have very murky margin outlooks. So I'm afraid I'm still not hot.
Lavan, you're very bullish. Does that translate into a hot?
I'm sizzling hot on Anglo PLC. I like the stock.